Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday and welcome to our Lunch and Learn LinkedIn Live. I'm Sabrina Myers from Hot Hospitality Exchange, and I'm joined by the lovely Farai from Allseated. Very,
Thank
very
you.
excited. Hello, welcome, Farai.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I believe this is a different way of communicating and contacting for us because it's been I would say it's been pretty much in person so far. So this is like our first virtual
True,
exchange and experience together.
true, 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 true. But looking forward to
So
it.
welcome and thank you for being here
Thank
today.
you.
And I'm very excited about today's topic because I'm a huge, massive fan of collaboration in general. And today our topic is going to delve into it a little bit deeper, but from a different perspective for event planners who are both on site within hotels and venues, but also for event planners like myself that work with hotels and venues. So, for those of you watching, a little background to myself and Farai. We actually met a few years ago when
Yes.
he was part of the pre-opening team at the 25 Hours Hotel, The Circle, here in Cologne, Germany, where I live. Isn't that right? Gosh, that was how many years ago was that? It must
4 years,
be.
actually. 4 years. I do remember during that time how stressed I was. And I do remember also our site inspection. The hotel wasn't open yet until that moment. So it was a big mess. But afterwards, the hotel. It's one of the most beautiful places in Cologne. So definitely a great
Absolutely.
hotel.
Absolutely, absolutely love that. And yes, so that was kind of where we kicked off, where we met. So we've pretty much stuck to our hotel and venue kind of careers, and also kind of integrating that within the tech space, right? I
Mhm.
mean, you were from the hotel side, moving into the tech space. I was on the event side, moving into the social media tech space. So it's been an interesting kind of transition for both of us. But today here, I know Farah, you started your hotel career in 2009 as a banquet service representative. So thinking back, I guess my first question is, do you remember what your biggest pain points were when it came to, operating and selling events?
So for sure. Oh wait, when you say 2009, it feels like that I'm really old. But yeah, it's really a few years ago, and I for sure remember a lot during that time. I was actually, maybe you know this hotel in Hamburg, the Site Hotel. It's a design
Yes.
lifestyle
Yep.
5.5 5-star superior hotel, and I started there as an banqueting service agent. I don't know the proper Commis de Banquet. That was actually the title I had, and I do remember how often actually I was quite stressed before the event and before the client actually kicked off his meeting. Why? Not because we did not good work in sales. The biggest issue in operation was always that the person on the event of the day sometimes was someone
Mhm.
completely someone else as the
Yeah,
person who booked the event. So
correct.
any morning when I did put my function sheet and went through the room and checked if everything is as on the function sheet, and the
Mhm.
person who's actually hosting the event on site came and he was like, "What is that?" Actually, it was suspecting a different setup, and you suddenly start sweating because his guests will come, and you feel the responsibility, even if you're a young banqueting whatever waiter you are, to make this whole thing happen, right? And there is
Yeah,
not a mistake from the hotel side. It's just something in regards of miscommunication between all three parties.
yeah.
And this was definitely something I remember quite often, not every time, but quite often, that I was like, oh, hands on, everyone from the offices come. We need to change the from gala to theater.
I know, and I completely get that, and I completely understand that situation. It is highly stressful. That's probably the best word to use, right?
Mm,
And now, the reason everyone that's watching that I asked this question about pain points is that I think the best technology um, comes out of solving pain points, delivering technology that meets the problems that we have, and gives us a way to overcome them, become more productive, become more efficient, and be able to go about our day to day with less stress, not
Mm,
freaking out every single 3 minutes because
mm,
not everyone is on the same page about something. So
mm,
on that note, Farai is going to now tell us a little bit more about Allseated's amazing tool. I absolutely love it. I think it is fantastic. It is really, it lives and breathes collaboration.
mm,
So Farah, can you tell us who is this tool specifically for,
mm,
and how does it aid the collaborative process when it comes to event planning and selling spaces?
mm. I mean, I would do it a bit on a different direction because I would like to put myself in my shoes back in 4 years when I was opening the 25 hours hotel as the sales and marketing leader,
Mhm,
having a space without knowing actually what is possible. And even if you would have known what is possible in this event conference facilities, you always have this moment where you are sending proposals and need actually a better impression for your customers and prospects to know
mhm,
what they are actually buying in. Yeah. So
right.
we needed something during that time, even far before Corona,
Mhm,
where we could involve the customer or the prospect before signing the contract or even after signing the contract, that he knows exactly what he can suspect in when he comes to the hotel.
got
So
it.
it definitely, and before I actually explain Allseated in general, I would like to sum up the needs and objectives what I was actually looking for. I needed
Mhm,
something what gave my team and myself a bit more time.
right.
It sounds quite weird to say, okay, you integrate a new tool what actually needs to be used, and you
Mhm,
talking about saving time, but it was time saving. Why? 8 of 9 inquiries we came, were
yeah,
able to sign a contract by a 3D visual of our hotel and the setup we have sent them without
mhm,
coming to our hotel. Site
got it.
inspections are fun, but they are a pain when you're busy, right? So
Yes,
you you need to
very true.
send a housekeeping email, a front office email. You have to say banqueting an email. You leave your desk for half an hour, 45 minutes. It's good to be the host of a site inspection, not for everyone, not
Right.
every time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a romantic guy when it comes to in-person happening, so I love that. But if
Yep.
something helps me to be more efficient, it's
Yeah.
definitely worth it. So this was in regards of sales process in to remotely sell something, but then
Mhm.
from the other perspective, not asking banqueting to do a setup just to
Yeah.
show the client what it will look like, or having sold the room, the prospect is coming to a live site inspection, and he actually can't look inside the room because it's been occupied just in the coffee break sneak preview, and it's still not valuable then for the person to came actually a part of that he was in touch with me personally and could see the guest rooms. But what I wanted to say is also from the perspective of visualizing and for banqueting,
Mhm.
so operational hotel
Yeah.
operation, it was something, it really solved a lot of uh, yeah, how should I say, not problems but needs. Let's talk the
Needs.
other one,
It
needs.
met a lot of needs. Absolutely.
Exactly. And due to the fact that this whole tool is so complex, I
Yeah.
would not do a sales pitch. I would rather show Joanna. Joanna is from the London Marriott Hotel, and
Mhm.
we did a short video with her, and she explains it quite well how she is using the tool. And I would like to share my screen. Let me check if it works. So here you go. It
Absolutely.
works, right? Does it work?
Now, Farai, for a second, I'm going to bring in our special guest now because I
Ah, yeah.
think he needs to see this as well because,
Okay.
it's great for event planners both on site as well as planners like myself and my special guest, Anna, Fun Evolved Events, to really understand this tool and how fantastic it can be when it comes to, spaces and event planning. So give me a second. Let me
No
bring
worries.
Anna
All
on.
good. Looking forward.
Hello, Anna.
Hi,
Yeah.
lovely to be here. Before we even talk about the tool, can I just say that I was at 25 Hours Hotel in Paris
Ah, God. Yeah.
last week as we
Gare
made the
du Nord.
train
Yeah.
down to IBTM. That was
Mm.
our stopover. So
Cool.
big fan of
Cool.
25
Yeah.
hours hotels.
Me
Really
too.
good.
Me too.
Myself as well. I
Fantastic.
love
Okay,
them as
so
well.
Anna, what we're gonna do now is obviously, I'm so excited you're joining us from an event profs perspective. Just a little insight for Farai and for everyone watching. You know, Anna obviously runs a very successful event management agency in the UK, and some of the events that she does, she works very closely with venues to really do them up and then sell on events. Isn't that correct? Like Christmas
Yeah,
parties and things.
absolutely. So we have our own event agency. We've been in the business for over 20 years, but we do a lot of bespoke events at venues across London and overseas. But we also have a venue, Kent House Knightsbridge, that we manage and produce all of their events. So we get to see it from both sides when we're going into venues looking for solutions, but also when we have clients that can be a mixture of agencies or direct bookers looking for solutions from venues. So we covered it on both sides. And what we have in common, I suppose, across all of it is the need for clear communication, collaboration, visualization. So yeah, really interested to hear about that session today.
Fabulous. And on that note, Farah is now going to show us Joanna from the Marriott. Was it the Marriott in London?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Go for it, Farai.
Yeah, for
Let's see,
sure.
because I know this is a very visual tool, and I want everyone to understand how amazing it is as a collaborative tool and how it looks like and how it feels.
Here you go. It should work. Does it? Yeah, it does, probably, right?
Yep,
You
there
see,
we
Joanna.
go.
So
Perfect.
exactly, Joanna is. I mean, what we can see here is we have created the digital twin of this hotel, right? And what you can see here is actually a short introduction or preview how collaboratively working in our tool is actually working. So you can not just show the client how it looks like, you can even meet and greet the person, the prospect inside the room. So what Joanna can do is we are like tiny little avatars, and she can walk me through the whole space and could show me the room in 3D. And if I have any kind of recommendation adjustments I would like to have, she can do it in real time. So we stay in the room, and if I say, hey, Joanna, we sat actually not theater, gala, whatever, or please not around at the round tables half with 6 chairs, she can do it straight away in the back end. And the link where we are actually meeting, so everything's cloud based, we meet up in one link, it will be adjusted straight away. And out of this 3D possibilities, 3D visuals, what you I just come back here, you can generate a picture or even the link themselves, so that the prospect or the client can send it internally, maybe, as I said, for the situation that the event booker is someone else as the person on the side on the day of the event in the hotel, to say, hey, this is the setup we have discussed, are you happy with that or not? So to work collaboratively inside the tool is really valuable. And again, coming back, I will stop this and come back to and to the stream. From my experience, what was also really valuable when I think about Anna or Sabrina, about you, professionals who are also working for their end client, it is somehow always you lose sometimes information on your way from the end client, between the agency and the hotel. It is sometimes much more efficient to invite you as the agency intermediary between the end client and the hotel to do the floor planning directly in our tool. So it's not like sending a link to Sabrina and say review it and give me feedback. You can even give her the permission to say, hey, you know what, you are probably much better than I am. Here's our, you have the inventory list of all kind of furniture. Do whatever you want to do, send it to me, and we will make it happen then on the day of the event. So this is also possible. And this is something what makes the network of Allseated so big, because in the US we are the biggest vendor when it comes to floor planning, right? 40,000 hotels and venues, so a massive tool. And it's growing and growing and growing as well. Yeah, so definitely something what helped me, and I'm 100% confident what will help a lot of venues and event agencies and event planners in the future as well.
Absolutely. So, Anna, what are your thoughts? Like, now you've seen the tool, how it works. from your perspective, because you sit with kind of in the two, your feet are like on two sides with this, right?
Yeah.
How do you see that tool working collaboratively for you? Is it something amazing?
What I love is how much I think it's evolved. So we actually, during the pandemic, we had a 3D floor plan with Matterport, who I think Allseated, you work with them, don't you, to provide
Exactly.
3D
We're a strategic
visualization.
part. Exactly.
Yeah. So we had a 3D visualization of Kent House created because obviously we couldn't do any show rounds. And it was a fantastic tool because it enabled us to still keep inquiries coming in for clients that were looking to host events as soon as they were able to do so. And it still is a really powerful tool for us because, as Ray was saying, showrounds have changed. They changed for lots of reasons. Remote working, not everybody can get to a venue. International events, we're seeing a lot of interest in events coming into London, so people can't physically get there. You might not have all the team there. You might need to approve upwards. So being able to show a venue without having to actually physically go there is a great time saver for the client, but also for us as a venue or an agency, because what we find is that the people that then come to the venue, they've already visualized themselves at the venue. They're further down the buying process. They're much more likely to convert. So it's a really powerful business tool. But what I've loved seeing today is how far you've taken it from when we just had the visualization. We don't have any of that working on the floor plans, being able to redesign. We don't have that software in there. And it's a really powerful thing to offer people. We have, as I said, we work with people at different kind of experiences. Agency people often can come into a blank canvas. They can see what they want to do. Sometimes we work with clients who need a bit more support in that process. And for example, they might come in, they might have their heart set on long tables. It's not until you show them that actually configuring it in a different way might enable you to get more guests in. It might enable you to have a larger stage. Depends on what your particular requirements are. And crucially, what I love is the chance for other people to look at it. I'm a believer that your event is almost only as good as your communication. And when you work with so many suppliers in an event, we did an event yesterday where we have probably over 15 suppliers. That's quite common. Keeping them up to date with the changes and making sure everybody is at the same stage is crucial. So one tool that can do that, to me, is a really exciting prospect.
That's actually a really fantastic point. I think we often see it so specifically, like, okay, from my perspective as a venue event planner, and then from my perspective as an event planner, that's such an important point that you mentioned, that there can be so many different suppliers involved in one. So for them to have a tool like this one where they can visualize at every stage what it looks like, if their little part of it changes, when it comes to the theming or where something should go or the setup changes or whatever, it's so crucial to be able to have everyone on the same page when it comes to that.
And for people to know in advance as well, I think that thing that, sorry, Sabrina, interrupting you. I'm so enthusiastic about the opportunity. But I think that thing of letting people know in advance is key, whether that's your suppliers or the client. You're taking people on a journey when you create an event. It's not just the event itself, it's the whole process. And that process should be exciting and enjoyable. It's only exciting and enjoyable if you can take out some of the stress. So by showing people what they're going to see, there's no nasty surprises on the day. Everybody turns up, good to go.
Absolutely. Now we've got someone joining. We've got Robert joining us, Robert Dunsmore, and he's got a question. Hi, Robert. Thank you so much for joining us on the live. The question is, are those 3D models available to design agencies to maximize the possibilities? So that would be a question for you, Farai. They get access to. So I guess it's more like, so Robert is a creative consultant. He works on pitches and conceptualizing the entire concept of the event for big brands and experiential agencies. So if they had a space, I'm assuming these models would be available to them, right? In terms of
Definitely, but not but it is definitely possible, Robert, to design as a design agency to maximize the possibilities, but integrate in our platform.
yeah.
What you need to be invited
Mhm.
to the room, or you are an event planner registered on Allseated, then you have even access to every venue and can actually review them. So also from the perspective of an event planner, if you are an event planner in our tool, you have access to any venue who's registered at us. So also from the perspective of um, you have booked a venue, you look on Allseated, if this venue is been maybe already uploaded there, you can
Mhm.
straight away do your floor planning there. So yes, you can do it, but I do think Robert also means to maybe have somehow his own 3D models he would like to bring inside the tool. This is something a bit more complex, possible, but
Yeah.
always integrated in our platform. So this is quite important to understand. Yeah, but yeah, definitely possible.
Fantastic. I love that. Everything is possible, to be honest. That's what I love about tech. Do you know what I mean? Like, and asking that question earlier about, what are the problems? What are the needs? And when you can have tech that addresses those things, and that's how tech evolves, right? It's you've solved something, but then there's like, oh, but can we integrate this? And that's when, you get back into that whole brainstorming. Okay, how? We've got the baseline for it, but how do we build on to be able to provide that, which is so exciting with a tool like this and a company like Allseated, which has the capabilities to do that, which is incredible. And of course, collaboration is a winning philosophy. This is good, which
Cool,
we all obviously agree with.
cool.
Now, we had a great conversation for about 20 minutes about this tool and how it is of such value to venues as well as event planners. Um, what I really do want to take the last few minutes to discuss is trends. Okay,
Mhm.
now IBTM, myself and Anna, we met at IBTM last week. This was something that a lot of people were talking about because with a show like IBTM, it's at the end of the year. It tends to be a question that gets asked all around, like, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see are the trends that are coming up, event trends that are coming up in 2023? So Anna, what do you see are event trends that are coming up? I know that you personally were speaking to a lot of people about this in particular, so you
Yeah.
would have some good ideas of what people are saying.
Yeah. As you say, it's the big question, isn't it? And it's a big question at the moment, not just because we're turning into a new calendar year, but because the last few years have seen such a big change in the industry and what people are looking for in their events. People are looking for a much more tailored, personal approach. I think it's also a challenge at the moment. We are entering a period of some economic uncertainty. So people are looking for value in their event, but by value, I don't think it's necessarily delivering just on the bottom line. It's delivering an event that offers value. You've got to go to an event these days, it has to be worthwhile attending. And I think that's made the whole industry up its game. I think it also events are looking at the value that they offer to communities. They're looking at the legacy going forward. I think we're seeing much more of that going into the design of events. And we're also, I think, looking for clients are looking to work with people that mirror their values. So
Mm.
I think we're seeing a lot of that coming through in events. And I think that's a good thing as we question our industry a lot more, looking at things like DIE, looking at things like sustainability, those kind of issues, and how we can embed them
Sure.
into our events going forward. So values, but in the broadest definition of the term.
Mhm.
Fantastic. And Farai, what are the trends that you are seeing from where you're sat in the perspective of Allseated and clients and customers using the tool,
Mm.
and in general in the events industry?
I mean, I can to 100% agree on what Anna said. 100%. I don't want to repeat it because it was really what you said, Anna, for sure. What I also additionally see, but this is just from my perspective of Allseated and the topics I have on a daily basis. So everything
Mm,
what Anna said, plus what I see is this whole topic about remotely selling is getting
mm,
to a really different level. I want just to paint the picture. So there are a few hotel chains, Penta, Scandic, Marriott, Kempinski, Four Seasons, who are working with us on the chain level.
Mhm.
And these are early adopters. I'm so happy that my beloved industry is getting so brave to test something new. Why? Uh, the idea is actually to get the websites of these hotels from
Yeah.
2D flat, where you scroll and click, to a
Mhm.
3D space. So what does that mean? If you have your digital twin of your hotels, make them accessible on your website, and people, just by discovering the possibilities of this hotel, are meeting in the digital twin on the website. So you suddenly have an, let's say, digital concierge, a digital convention sales manager, who is meeting up with these people in that
Mhm.
digital hotel, to guide them through the hotel without that the people are coming. So we are going, this is the evolution of the internet, from text to picture, from pictures to videos, from videos now to an immersive experience.
Mm.
And this is something, this is really mind-blowing, that actually Mark Zuckerberg has changed Facebook to Meta, is not 2 years old. And our industry, what everyone says is maybe slow, is not that slow as I think. There are really early adopters. We are trying to
Mhm.
to go the to do the first step, and the first step sounds sometimes too big, but actually,
Mhm.
to break it down for first action step, is to digitalize your assets, whatever the asset is. It can be
Mm.
your hotel rooms, your conference rooms, your loyalty program, to get a digital asset of this what you have physically. And this is something I see and have it on a daily basis, and I love the idea. I love the idea, even if it's not replacing. Quite important. I would not represent something what replace. It is
Yeah.
additionally
Yeah.
and supportive thing.
It's about offering choice, isn't it? I think at the end of the day,
For sure.
it's, we're not saying one route is better than another. It's
For
about
sure.
offering people choice and options, and that tailorization, that personalization, that flexibility that we're building into our events. We need to build into how we design them and how we sell them, I think, too.
Sure.
I agree with you completely on that.
I think it is that topic of, and I think this is, you've both touched on it. I think for me personally, it's about, and these are two very big loaded words, and they can be taken in many different perspectives and broken down in many ways. But I think inclusivity and immersiveness, those are
Hmm.
the two trends I see going forward in the industry. Now, inclusivity, obviously, there's the DEI side of it, from a social perspective and all of that. But there's also the accessibility to, your day-to-day working with venues and hotels and tools, and how it makes your job a lot easier. If you have a digital twin to offer up
Hmm.
to your client, that is incredible. If you
Hmm.
yourself can go into a space, and not just a flat 2D website, but you can actually visit it, that is also very accessible and inclusive, because like you said, both of you said, remote working now is an all-time high. We might not necessarily have, as able human beings to get to a venue or to hotels, but there's a whole percentage that also needs to, it has to be more accessible.
Hmm.
And this kind of technology opens it up to everybody, and it opens
Hmm.
up the opportunities to everybody. And as you say, immersiveness, we saw it at IBTM. There were so many stands that were trying to immerse you into their destinations. They
Hmm.
wanted to bring you in. Like Abu Dhabi had like screens you had to walk through, you felt you were there. Singapore wanted you to be able to have, pictures from somewhere very fun and cool in Singapore, so it looked like you were there. People want that immersive experience, and that
Hmm.
face of that is changing in our industry at such a fantastic pace.
Cool.
And I think you're right. I think it's a really, really exciting time. Lots is changing, but I'm super excited that, tools like Allseated are there for us to use. And, I think that it can only get better, honestly.
Hmm.
And as Robert says, I love how he describes this. He says, meta venue. I'm sure Farah is like, yes, that's basically what
Yeah.
we should call ourselves.
Sure.
We should call
Sure.
ourselves.
Really good.
And I
But,
think, as you say as well, Sabrina, pace is key, isn't it, at the moment? People are very time poor. So offering up the convenience to be able to access a venue when it suits them, getting other people to come in and do the virtual show round, I think it's better for your well-being if you're not having to try and get into a city to look at a venue. And the other thing that we've got, and I think definitely is continuing into next year, is very, very short lead times in events. People are putting in an inquiry and you're being at the lead time they give you as a brief is super short, which means that venues, you have to often decide a venue very quickly because a venue is not going to hold it as long as they once did.
True.
So you need to see that venue very quickly, and you need to have people signing all the way up to the top of your hierarchy, signing it off quickly. So if you can show it to them digitally and get that venue signed and able to host your event very quickly, that also has to be an advantage, doesn't it?
100%. Good one. I like that one.
Absolutely. So we are done with our lunch and learn. This 30 minutes, I can't believe where it just went. That's just usually what happens when the conversation is good, and we've got a fantastic panel speaking. But thank you all for joining us today on this live. If you've got any questions for the panel, if you've got any questions for Ferai from Allseated, for Anna from Evolve, please don't hesitate to connect with them here on LinkedIn. They're both on here. Drop questions or comments into the comments if you're watching this as a replay later. This is also going to be readily available for you to rewatch on LinkedIn as well as on my channel on YouTube, Hot Hospitality Exchange. So, lots of accessibility. This is all very inclusive. Get yourself on there, put subtitles on, captions, all good. But thank you, Ferai, for joining me. Thank you, Anna, for joining me.
It's always a pleasure.
Have a fantastic day. And let's continue collaborating and making fantastically successful events. So bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.